Thank you, Karen, and good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from in the world. Thank you for your interest in the RoSPA Awards for 2022. As Karen's advised, it is one of the most prestigious and recognised industry award schemes in the world. 2022 will actually be the 66th year of the RoSPA Awards, with us first having awarded Health and Safety Excellence way back in 1956. Looking on last year, as we say, we saw almost 2,000 entrants who were involved in managing the safety of some 7 million employees and contractors and stakeholders around the world. And that was from 49 countries in that year. So the scheme has really grown over those 66 years to be a truly international one. Next slide, please. So what are the RoSPA Awards to you? That's what the RoSPA Awards are to us, but to you, it's a chance for you to join in a community of committed organisations who are striving for excellence in health and safety management. In the 2022 awards round, we're looking to celebrate everything that's happened during the 2021 calendar year. And we realise 2021 has continued to be a difficult year with lots of pressures on us as health and safety practitioners, particularly with all the changes and the ongoing adjustments we're making related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's really a chance to celebrate the things we're doing well and those positive things that have been taking place during the last year. It's also a way that you can show that commitment to health and safety excellence to your employees, to your customers, to your other stakeholders as well. It's a great way to engage and motivate on all different levels and set yourself apart from some of the other competitors operating in your area. Next slide, thank you. So what expectations should you have if you're considering making an entry in 2022? A lot of this information is going to come from the perspective of someone who's fairly new to the scheme, but there should be some useful information for returning entrants as well for some tips and advice. First of all, it's not just an entry form, it's not just a questionnaire, but it's an important chance to stop and pause and reflect and learn on what's gone well over the last year. Also a chance to reflect and learn from the things that maybe haven't gone so well. They're all things that will help contribute to showing how your safety management system works. So entrance advisors, it typically takes them in the region of maybe 3 to 5 days to reflectively complete an achievement award. Some of those entering for the higher level industry sector award, and we'll explain what these different categories mean in a moment. They may find that it takes them, substantially longer than that as they're striving to be the best within their industry area. Either way, it's an intensive process, but it can be a manageable one if you choose to do it all at once. And equally, you can choose to spread the workload over months and weeks. Next slide, please. So time and evidence required to complete a RoSPA award are one of the key reasons that we know that the scheme is held in such high regard by the industry. So as you'll enter, you'll need to take time to do various things, as we've mentioned, to reflect on what's been happening over the last year. Time to involve your team in the process of the entry. So this isn't just a solo task for you to write and put together, but it's an opportunity to involve and get contributions from your wider team and employees. It's a chance for you to tell your story. So you're telling a narrative, as we say, about what's going well, how you're responding to things, and how you're celebrating safety excellence in your organisation. You'll also need time to gather together evidence documentation to demonstrate and show and prove to us how you're doing these things, how they're actually operating day to day. So the main category areas for 2022, which you'll be able to find listed on our website. We have the Achievement Awards, which are the largest and most popular category within the awards at the moment. That breaks down into a few different areas. The main Achievement Award asks you 10 questions about your health and safety management. That covers lots of different disciplines and topics within that. So things such as how you're leading on health and safety within your organisation, how you are investigating accidents, how you're maintaining core competencies and training, and how you're doing all these different components of your system. And then we're also asking for information on accident and ill health data and enforcement data as well. So this is a category which is assessed as a single entry against our mark scheme by our team of independent assessors. A level alongside that, we have the Industry Sector Awards, and that's the same set of questions, but these awards also have a competitive element. So as well as being assessed against our mark scheme, you're also being considered alongside everybody else within your industry sector. That usually results in us declaring a winner for a particular industry sector, and also hopefully maybe some highly commended and commended recipients as well. Then alongside that, we also have a number of additional submissions, and we'll go over these all in a little bit more detail in a moment, where we have some specialist categories covering areas such as environmental management and health management. So all different disciplines which are kind of interconnected into your role. And just one more thing before we move on, within the Achievement Awards, when you log onto the website, you'll also find that we break that down into the fleet safety category and the leisure safety category. So they're both separate question sets that have a specialist set of questions regarding how you manage your fleet and how you manage health and safety within an environment that is primarily geared around visitors and guests rather than just your own employees. Let's move on. So the Achievement Award levels, you may have seen other organisations celebrating these levels. So the Achievement, Occupational, the Leisure and the Fleet are all kind of graded on a merit through gold level range. And they're accessible wherever you kind of are in terms of your health and safety journey. So the Merit Award represents organisations who are really committed to improvement, but maybe still have some way to go, right through to the Gold Award at the top end, which is celebrating entrants who are going consistently above and beyond in their desire to effectively manage their health and safety. Within those categories, we also have a number of additional trophies which are given out to the top performers in a category. For example, we have the Leisure Safety Trophy and the Fleet Safety Trophies for the best overall performers in those categories. And we also have the Fleet Safety Technology Trophy, which is an automatically selected trophy for the best overall implementation of fleet safety, technology management in fleet safety. You'll also see some other categories that organisations are really proud to talk about. They're not quite so applicable to a kind of a first time or a very new entrant, but they really demonstrate how committed our entrants are to the awards in the long term and the benefits that they have for them. So we have gold medal, President's, Order of Distinction and Patrons Award levels, which all represent organisations who've been really invested in the value and the process of the awards for anywhere between 5 and 25 plus years. And so they speak real volumes as to why people keep coming back. Next slide, thank you. So the industry sector awards, as we mentioned, give you an opportunity to compete competitively with the very best other organisations in your particular industry group. And this is a breakdown that just shows us quite, how diverse and wide-ranging those industry areas are. We can kind of find options for all organisations for different areas, different sectors right across the world. So these are a real opportunity for you to show yourself as being kind of part of the very best health and safety performers. The industry sector awards are also the route towards our very top trophy in the scheme, which is the Sir George Earl Trophy. So collectively, we look at the winners and highest performers in each of these sectors, and they are whittled down by our judging panels, who eventually select some finalists for that trophy who undergo further levels of scrutiny, such as site visits and presenting to the awards panel before we decide on the overall Sir George Earl Trophy winner. So that's the industry sector awards. Let's move on. We also, alongside that, you'll find on our website, we have a number of different free to enter award categories. So these categories we've got on screen here are additional submissions, which are all linked into being available for free if you've already entered for one of the Achievement Award categories or for an industry sector category. We've got the Inspiring Women in Health and Safety Award, which is an exciting new award we've got for 2022. That's being made to an individual who has made a significant inspirational impact in safety. We'll be discussing that one a little bit later on. And then we have various other areas. So there's the Health at Work Award, which is looking at management of health and well-being in the workplace. There's the Dillman Environmental Award, a fairly long-standing specialist award, which looks at the discipline of environmental management. We've also got the Safe at Work, Safe at Home Trophy, which looks at how organisations are promoting safety, not just inside the workplace, but how they're using those transferable themes to help keep their workforce safe outside of it as well. And then lastly, on the free to enter categories, we've got the Inspiration Awards. These are a set of 5 different awards that recognise standout efforts of individuals, teams and projects. So we have the Influencer Award, the Distinguished Service Award and the Pride Award, which look at outstanding individuals. And then we also have the Team of the Year Award and the Initiative of the Year Award. So there's some great additional opportunities to put in extra submissions alongside your main award submissions to get the maximum value out of your entry. Next one, please. We also each year have a number of excellence awards, which are automatically selected based on performance in the main categories. So the ones we've got on screen here, we have the Workforce Involvement in Safety and Health, the RoSPA Scotland Trophy, the International Sector, and the Best New Entry. So for some of these, you need to be an existing industry sector award entrant. But particularly of interest to us today, we have the Best New Entry Award. So if you're coming to the awards for the first time this year, that's all the achievements in industry sector entries are considered for that at the end of the awards year, and that's a trophy that goes to the strongest performing first time entrants. So again, there's some great additional trophies that you can be in the mix for winning if you put in a really solid entry. Thank you. So what's the entry journey looking like for entrants in 2022? Well, the awards registrations should be open tomorrow on the 1st of October. We always have an early registration discount in place to support you, and that will be open until the 31st of October this year. By registration, we literally mean the process of kind of logging onto our website and putting in an order for your intention to submit an award entry. So this is a really quick process that takes 5 minutes or so. And by getting in early as possible, that gives you the maximum amount of time you have up until the submission deadline. So getting in early means you can spread out that workload rather than having kind of a big rush closer to the time to get things together. And it can let you really make the most of that reflective task of thinking and putting everything together. Next one, please. So once you've made your registration, you'll then receive login details to our secure online entry environment. And that's where all of your entry is submitted and created. That's where you kind of upload all of your evidence and you answer all of the questions. So those details come over and you can work on that through a web browser from anywhere in the world. You can share that with different members of your team to work on different sections. So it's a very flexible and secure system. You can then obviously begin work on your submission. And for all of the awards we're looking to hopefully present this year, will be submitted by the 1st of February in 2022. And then once you've submitted those awards, we'll be moving on to circulating and updating entrants on how they did and giving them results towards the end of March, between around the 21st and 31st of March. Thanks. So some tips and thoughts really on how we might get the most out of your entry in 2022. So reflecting and sharing, this is really crucial. We really want to emphasize this, not just a form, it's not just a tick box exercise, but we really want our entrants to join in the awards community and be part of all the different added value that we can offer. And reflecting on your performance is a key way to extract that value out of your entry. It's also something that you can use for your own personal development as well, by kind of considering what you're doing on the awards entry within your CPD evidence, for example. Getting the most out of it, as with any kind of, any question-based exercise, whether it's an exam or the like, you need to just make sure that you're reading the questions carefully and you're answering all the different components. We do provide entrants with some helpful kind of guidance notes that expand on what you might want to include in different sections and help get you along the right themes for your answer. So the mark scheme is tied into that as well. So it's worth making sure that you're checking off how well you're keeping in line with those things as you put an entry together. Also, you may have been forwarded onto the awards by a colleague or recommended it by somebody else this year. If that's the case, when you do register, make sure you're using the most current guidance notes that are available. We do change and update and make tweaks to the scheme each year to keep it as current as possible. So just make sure that you're downloading the current guidance notes once you've registered. And again, if we could just go back to that last slide again, ensure that your narrative is fully evidenced as well. So evidence is a really, really solid, important part of the awards submission. We unfortunately can't take, everything you say just on good faith as much as we would love to. We do need to see evidence for all the examples that you're discussing and all the parts of your safety management system that you're describing. So really, for each thing you're introducing, you need to think, how can I demonstrate this being done in action? What kind of documentation can I upload to my entry that shows that we've actually done this and that we're following our planning through to delivery, and then seeing that in the results. So entries can use 8 items of evidence per question. So there's good scope within each section to provide lots of demonstrative evidence. Next one, please. So some key themes that come up across the entry, which are particularly important for both industry sector entrants and achievement entrants. Inspiration, we want to see that you've kind of got a clear narrative on how your safety management system is being inspired and led, both from the top of the organisation, but from different tiers of management as well, and to see how that health and safety culture is being developed and positively influenced. Consultation is a key theme in the submission. We're looking for entrants to show that they've got genuine two-way consultation going on with their staff. So they're not just kind of dictating or communicating down their management system, but they're really involving staff in the development of it and the ongoing improvement. So this can be sometimes confused with kind of linear communication, but we're looking for, to really see a two-way process, how you're involving not just your safety staff, but also your general non-safety specialist staff as well in that process, so they can have true ownership over your systems. Investigation is another important theme in the submission. We're looking to see, how you can learn when things don't go completely right, as well as celebrating things that are going really well. We can often learn a lot about safety culture and its maturity from how those things are responded to. So this can include, for example, near misses. If you're in, an organisation where you're maybe in a lower hazard industry area, or where you've not had any significant accidents to reflect on. So there's different opportunities when it comes to investigation. Next one, please. Preparation. This is really important. I mean, you can start thinking now, what documents you could be bringing together to evidence things that have happened in 2021. Kind of doing that throughout the year, if you're a repeat entrant, is really helpful because it spreads out that workload again. So as you kind of create documents and think, what could we include in the entry? We're looking for, worked documents that are just examples of your day-to-day safety management system in use. We're not necessarily looking for bespoke things created specially for your submission. We just want to see the real management system and learn about how it's implemented. Tying into that, and we've got communication. That is an important part, both how you're communicating internally within your workforce and how you're communicating externally, what you're doing with contractors and the like. But also in how you just put together your entry and describe it. So you need to just be careful that you remember that you're explaining this to an assessor for the first time who's not necessarily aware of your organisation or what it does. So just make sure that that's clearly and logically progressing so they can understand it easily. And then documentation, again, we've mentioned evidence and documents, and we'll continue to do so and repeat ourselves because it's really one of the key central points. If you just describe your system without backing it up and showing it, you'll score a relatively low mark, which is why it's really important that you describe and you demonstrate together in tandem. We're looking both for evidence of your policies and your planning, as well as that demonstrative evidence of doing. And so they're all key components of the evidence you provide. Thanks. So just in case any of you are brand new to the scheme, this is an example of kind of what some of the questions may look like. This is a question from the Achievement and the Industry Sector Award question set. And then we'll just unpack a little bit as how you might put an answer together. So this explains how you would describe your organisation's approach to active monitoring of its safety and health performance and how it continues to evolve. So we've got a couple of aspects of that question. You need to make sure you'd address them both to get the most marks. We're looking at setting the scene probably by explaining and writing about the procedures and the policy that you would have in place to govern active monitoring and how that's carried out. And then, as we say, describe and then evidence by giving us a copy of that policy and showing, how it's used. You then look to expand in a bit more detail. What are the key aspects of the policy? Show us how you're using them in practice. So this could include further planning evidence of a schedule of your monitoring plans and activity. That could include, an example then of completed worked evidence examples of monitoring activities that have taken place. Taking that a step further, you could then unpack that a little bit to talk about, what kind of remedial action and follow-up you are doing based on the things that are coming out of your active monitoring activities. And again, there's opportunity to provide evidence and different types of evidence, and there's a range of different evidence things that you can provide. So you can use things such as Office documents or your standard Office documents, such as your Word and your PowerPoint and your Excel documents, to show the way that you're using those documents. You can also use photographs and things such as that. Other examples we've got then, you may develop the answer further to kind of talk about health monitoring. So we're looking at both safety and health within the awards scheme. So they're both important components. We often get feedback from the assessors that maybe an entrant has focused really well on the safety aspect, but then the health side of things hasn't kind of, followed and caught up quite so well. So it's really important that we address both of those separate sections as you go throughout. I'm not sure if we can move on to the last slide now, if possible. That's great. So in terms of accessing, the full added value of the submission, we'll go on to discuss these in more detail in a moment when Karen and myself have a conversation. But the Awards Excellence Forum is a real key component of things that can be accessed during the awards year. This is open to all awards entrants, and it's a chance for you to meet with like-minded award entrants here on best practice, both kind of from RoSPA and from case studies from entrants. There are also then opportunities to tie into our mentoring program as well, which is a great thing that is led primarily by our awards ambassadors, who are kind of senior health and safety experts in the UK and in different countries around the world. And that gives you an opportunity to link in with some one-to-one advice with them, so you can learn how to improve your submission, prepare a submission really well, progress within the scheme, and so on. And finally, we've got the option for feedback on your award submission. You'll see when you log on that you can add feedback to an achievement award, or it's automatically included with an industry sector award as well. But we really recommend that you consider that as an option if you're in your first year of entry, because it can just give you an enhanced level of information direct from the assessor as to how your systems were reported on and explained in the submission. And that can really be helpful for helping you make the step up, for example, from a silver to a gold level award by telling you the areas which you could focus and give a bit more detail on. So that's an overview of what we've got going on with the scheme this year. That's what the main categories are. You can find out more about all of these in a lot more detail on the website. And also you can contact us in the awards team at any time, really, to get some more information or advice on any particular questions you may have about different aspects of the scheme. So we would encourage you to do that. But now myself and Karen are going to move on to having a little bit of a discussion about some key elements that I've touched on briefly, but we're going to unpack a bit more, aren't we, Karen? Thanks.
Well, indeed. So first of all, can I just say that we have been answering questions as we've gone through the session, Matt, but any questions that you have that are not covered in the rest of the webinar this afternoon will be answered for you directly as the day progresses, or tomorrow. So we'll look forward to forging links with yourselves. So we're going to have a chat through a few of the more salient points, I believe, in relation to what you've just heard from Matt. So I'm going to kick off with what are some of the key organisational and personal benefits associated with entering the RoSPA Awards?
Sure. Well, I think we can look at this, like you say, on both the organisational level and the personal level. And I think there are benefits for your organisation both internally and externally, really. So you can use the awards as a tool for annual reflection, and you can use it for year-on-year benchmarking if you're a returning entrant. And that can be done on an organisational level, either as a single site to see your progress and your progression throughout the years, or also by putting in a number of different sites collectively. There's the opportunity for them to kind of compete with each other internally, and also, you know, try to get everybody on that same gold level, hopefully, which is what we're all aiming for. And the awards also demonstrate, I think, your commitment, like we said, to your own employees, as well as, you know, that commitment that you can use as a stamp of excellence externally by holding that up for maybe you know, potential and existing clients, really. I think if we think about the personal benefits, you know, entering the awards is great for the organisation that will hopefully receive an award, but it also holds value for us as individual practitioners. As we mentioned, creating an award entry, you know, it's an investment of time, it's an investment in reflecting on past performance, and that they're all kind of really kind of key aspects of our CPD as health and safety professionals. So we really encourage you to make sure that you're making the most of that. We also regularly hear of individuals as well whose success and involvement in the awards has led to great career progression for them as well. So it's not just the organisational benefits; it's very much, you know, for you as an individual as well. I think, Karen, we've touched on reflective learning quite a few times. I wonder if you could maybe just expand for us a little bit on what you think that kind of looks like in practice.
Well, the RoSPA Awards certainly do encourage reflection on past performance, and it is indeed a key important process when compiling your entry. And in terms of what it should look like in practice, it's very much, again, a personal and organisational benefit, reflective learning, you know, that opportunity to reflect on your actions and learn from them. And within a RoSPA Awards context, we would certainly expect that reflection to involve you engaging widely with the people who work with your organisation to take their reflection on how progress has been made, in order you can provide a very holistic overview of progress that's been made in the last year. An opportunity for you to pause and reflect and then reset your thinking for future years. In terms of what an entry should do or what it should look like, reflective accounting or reflective learning should help your entry jump off the page. You know, it's that difference between understanding what your data, knowing what the policies and procedures should be, but it's how you embed them, and it's that story that makes things come alive for the person who's reading your submission. Reflective accounting is an opportunity for you to reshape your organisational thinking, and it is very valuable on an individual practitioner level as it is to the organisation itself. So it's about looking back, looking at what you said you were going to do. Did you get to where you expected to be? And share your successes, but also where perhaps you didn't quite make the progress you'd expected.
That's great, thanks, Karen. So I think, should we maybe move on and have a look at unpacking a bit more in terms of evidence requirements?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's clear from what you've already said this afternoon that the awards registration, the in-depth evidence is required to demonstrate the workings of your safety management system. So it's an integral part of the submission. And this is where clarity would be really useful for those new entrants that are listening in to the webinar. So what format should entrants supply their evidence in, and why is worked through evidence so important?
Absolutely, thanks, Karen. So we're looking at the different aspects of evidence. We talk about worked evidence and documentary evidence. So that is, we're looking for kind of examples of live documentation. So that's taken from 2021, which will be the key year that we're reflecting on. We're looking for examples of documents that demonstrate action that's happened in line with your policy and planning. A good example of this is something such as meeting minutes, maybe from a safety committee meeting. So they're a great tool that you can include in your evidence because they can demonstrate things that are being discussed at the planning stage. They can demonstrate how you're tracking your progress on following those things up, and they can also demonstrate closeout when they're completed as well. So it's those kind of documents that show us, you know, your day-to-day workings. We are also really interested, of course, in learning about your policies and about your planning and your procedures. But we really want to see all those kind of types of documentation as a set, essentially, so we can see that you're putting policies in place, you're using and creating plans in line with them, and then you're delivering your systems in line with them as well. So again, we can use lots of different document formats for that, which you can upload to the secure entry system. But we just need to make sure that we're focusing on current things that have happened within the last 12 months within the 2021 calendar year.
Thanks very much indeed. There has been a question in the Q&A box about the uploading of Google Docs documents. Can we accept
we do.
Yeah.
No problem. We do look to have all of the evidence uploaded to the online environment, because it's a snapshot at the point that you submit your entry. You can, I think, with most Google documents, you can create PDF copies and things like that, which you could then upload into the system. But we unfortunately don't accept links to external kind of cloud document storage systems. We do like you to do it all through the system. So as we say, that's a snapshot and it's consistent and it remains the same as at the point of entry and submission.
Okay, that was just an answer to David Wallace's question. So perhaps, David, if you need anything else, you could just drop a further comment in the Q&A box. Thanks very much. Just moving along, I think we're going to have a little chat about the Awards Excellence Forum that you mentioned earlier, Matt.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know, Karen, you've been kind of instrumental with your team in setting that up. We mentioned the Awards Excellence Forum as a benefit throughout the various different areas you'll see on the awards website. Karen, just tell us a little bit more about, what that is, who it's open to, and what you can access through it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the great thing about the longevity of the RoSPA Awards is that, we grow year on year. And for the last 2 or 3 years, we've now been providing opportunities for people to meet virtually and also face-to-face historically. Details are on the awards registration pages, and that is to bring our like-minded people together. In the introduction, we talked about 2,000 entries, 7 million employees in over 50 countries. And listening into this webinar here today, this is your community now. So that community is there to support you, to provide advice from RoSPA members of staff. We have our Awards Ambassador Network. We've got just short of 50 ambassadors across the world who understand local context, culture, industry, and can provide support to help you, whether it's an initial submission you're putting in or whether you want to move through grades if you're been in the scheme for longer. So it is there to support. It is a very sort of light touch where we introduce award winners if you want to meet someone in your own sector or in a different sector, and just to give you some hints and tips on how to more effectively tell your story. So again, people are interested in that, please do mention it as you go through the process, and we can introduce you to one of our awards ambassadors and help you on your way.
Thanks, Karen. That's great. As I mentioned at the very start of my presentation, we've kind of had a challenging year again as safety practitioners. We've tried to keep relative stability in the requirements for the RoSPA Awards this year as a result, to help you focus on communicating your story. But we are really also keen to kind of communicate new and exciting stories from different areas within our profession as well. So we're always at the same time adding new opportunities within the awards and new categories. We mentioned earlier in the presentation about the Inspiring Women in Safety Award, which is a really exciting new one we've added this year. Karen, I wonder if you could maybe explain a little bit more to us about how that came about, because you were involved in the development of that, weren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's another really exciting development for this year. The Inspiring Women in Safety Award is indeed this new award being introduced in 2022, which RoSPA have developed with the trophy sponsor L'Oreal. And it's set against the backdrop of recognising the contribution and inspirational impact of women in the health and safety community. So it's there to, as part of the awards themselves, it's a free to enter, and it's for each of you this afternoon who's listening in and hopefully going to engage with the process to think about an individual in your organisation who's made a significant inspirational impact in this world that we share of health, safety and well-being, either as an inspiration to their colleagues or down to their own individual efforts. The requirement is that you would give us some insights into that individual and some links to information. Up to 5 pieces of evidence can be used to support your answer. So what are we looking for? We're looking for evidence that the person you're putting forward has inspired others to become more visible through the provision of mentoring and support within the organisation, or indeed in a voluntary capacity out with your organisation. Inspiring others to put people really at the heart of decision making at board and senior management level. The third element here is an element that's very close to RoSPA's heart, inspiring people to connect around the topics that save lives. And then not to leave it at the door, to think about taking health and safety beyond the workplace. So I'm sure as you listen to this, you're identifying people in your own mind's eye that are very suitable to be put forward. So I hope you'll consider that, and those people who are a source of inspiration to your colleagues certainly should be recognised. And I'm here to help work through the process if that is of any value.
That's great. Thanks very much, Karen. I think we've addressed a number of the questions in the things we've already been talking that have come through as the presentation's been going on. We do encourage you to carry on, asking us about the things that will help you in terms of joining in with the scheme this year. I've just had a question that's just come in relating to, again, to kind of guess the data security of your information that's within the scheme. All of our judges and assessors sign kind of non-disclosure data security and confidentiality agreements. And we've also got a kind of a strict set of data security requirements that are enforced in connection with the online environment. So you can find out more about that information in the FAQs on our website if you need to know anything else about that.
There was one other question that's been asked by John Mochen. Is there a limit to the amount that you can upload, the file size?
Sure, there is a help guide which you will find when you log in once you've registered and you've got your entry details, which covers lots of the FAQs like that. We've got information that helps you advise on the different file size related to different sections and the different document limits in terms of the number of documents you can add as well. So we've both got those in kind of the FAQs and also the 3 individual guidance documents that you get for each category, which kind of spell out nice and clearly, what the technical requirements are in terms of how you should put your entry together.
That's excellent. Well, I think that we've exhausted the sort of more typical questions this afternoon, Matt. I think for me, it's always hugely encouraging to have these very positive conversations about the RoSPA Awards and the real impact that our community has. And I'm looking forward to hearing from the people who've attended today and how we can help them on the way forward. So thank you very much, everyone. As it says there, if we haven't answered your question, please do get in touch, awards@rospa.com, and I've already shared my email in the chat. So look forward to hearing from you.